This is the jib crane that I designed and built. In this video, I'll be showing you how I made this camera balancing plate that goes on the end of the jib crane's camera platform. Now this video is the actual video from the package that shows you how I made every part and piece of my jib crane. So if you're interested in those DVDs of following along on how I made my jib crane, please look for the details at the end of the video. To mount a camera onto the platform, I'm going to just use my Canon XS as an example. It's not as heavy as probably the other cameras that you would be using, and my Canon or my Panasonic AC90 weighs a lot more than this. But I just wanted to show you how I mount my cameras and talk a little bit about balancing your cameras when on the end of the jib crane. Ideally, you want to try and find a spot that best lets your camera balance and be even when it's up in the air. But I'm purposely going to use one of the front holes. But the way I mount my camera is I just take an all thread. Now this is a bolt that has all threads in it, and usually I would cut it off. But just for right now, I'm going to show you, I thread the threads all the way into the camera. That way I know that I have as many threads into the camera that I can. Then I just bring the camera on the platform, and then I have a nut with a washer, and then I usually will take a wrench and tighten that up. You can use a wing nut if you want to, but that's how I mount my cameras on my platforms, and it works really well. But what I'm showing you now is the jib crane. If it was level, you can see that the camera is not level. And whenever you have a jib crane, your camera, when it's all just sitting nice and straight, everything should be level, and this isn't. So that's why you have the holes that will go back, and you can put your camera back further, and depending if you have a big heavy lens, there might be a problem where you can't get the camera back far enough. And if you can't get the camera back far enough, there's a little adapter that we can make. Unfortunately, this does happen sometimes. Now, my video camera is a lot heavier, and it will have to go quite a ways back. Some cameras won't. But it's nice to have this adapter. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a piece of aluminum that's 3/16 inch thick, the same thickness this is, and this one is 3 inches wide. So it will cover 3 of these holes. This is 2 inches wide. So if we set our tri-square to 2 inches and take our felt tip pen, I'm going to make a mark and another mark, and then I'm just going to draw across so I can square that off. There you go. So what I'm actually going to do is we're going to drill these holes out here, and then I'm just going to move this up and drill these set of holes out too. If you want to keep going, you can keep going, but I think that's going to be plenty enough to do, and I'll show you how it will mount up. So I have to grab a clamp, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to clamp this and how we're going to start to drill that out. So I went ahead and clamped this aluminum to here, and actually this aluminum adapter will be sitting on top when we get all done. But we have it this way to mark it out. It doesn't matter what side you use. One thing that you don't want to do, you can go ahead and if you want to just drill all the holes out that you can that are already 1/4 inch, just follow them through. But these first 2 holes here, don't drill those out to 1/4 inch. Just take your drill bit and lightly start a hole on both of these so we have a center point. And what we're going to do is drill that out and tap it. So when we take this plate on top, we can take a 1/4 inch bolt and just thread it right into this plate. We won't have to put the extra weight of the 2 nuts or worry about those 2 nuts. And then what we'll do is where I have this line, we will just move this plate forward that much and drill another set of holes. So I'm going to go ahead and drill this out, what it should look like, and then bring it back and show you what it looks like. Well, again, I forgot to show you or tell you something. I went over and I drilled this hole right here, and I forgot we're going to be sort of using the pinning system too, because we don't want this to move, and we have to make sure these holes will all line up. So the first hole that you drill, take a 1/4 inch bolt, put it in there, put the nut on the back side, and tighten it up. And that way it won't move on you. Now when you drill your second hole, which I'm going to drill this one here, go ahead and put a 1/4 inch bolt in there and tighten it up. And then you could take the clamp off and go ahead and drill all the holes, but don't forget these 2 holes here, we're just going to start the drill bit and not go through. And then I'll bring it back and show you what it looks like. So I went ahead and drilled all the holes out except these 2. Take the bolts out, and just like everything else, we do need to keep this oriented so that it will all line up. But I didn't put any marks on it because I have this mark right here, and I know that that's how it's going to be oriented, and it's going to go on top when we get done. So as you can see, I've drilled all the holes out, and then there are 2 marks at the top right up here. That's where I told you to just start the drill bit, and that'll give us a nice like center punch to start the drill bit. What we're going to do is drill that out. It's a drill size number 7 for the 1/4-20 tap. You use drill number 7. We'll drill this out, and I will tap those, and then I'll bring them back and show you what it looks like. I went ahead and drilled these holes out and tapped them to the 1/4-20, and I'm using an Allen head bolt. And what you will do when this is all done is you will come up through the bottom and tighten down, and then up through the bottom again on this side and tighten down, and that will keep that'll keep this platform nice and tight. And then go ahead and measure and cut your Allen head bolts off and chamfer them. Like I said, you want to grind the sides off like to a point, but not a pointy point, so there won't be anything sticking up. But we have to make the holes back here now for where the camera is going to go. And there is one thing that you could do, but it's a waste of time, is that you could, how we had this plate down here, if you just went ahead and moved this plate forward and put 2 bolts in here to hold it, you could start drilling these holes out. But if you look at something, your next line of holes are going to be right where this black line is, and you're not going to use those holes. They're useless. So what I'm going to do, and this is why I drew that line, I'm just going to take this right here, and I'm just going to clamp it and drill the holes out again. And these holes back here, it doesn't matter, once again, just like these, if they're a little bit off, because they're not lining up for anything, they're just mounting holes. So you can go ahead and do this, and then if you want, if you think you're going to need more, you can go back and do even more. So I'm going to go ahead and clamp this and drill those sets of holes out and cut this plate off, and then I'll bring it back and show you how we mount it for the final time. Drilled all those holes out there, and then I cut my 1/4 inch bolt off so it's nice and flush, it's not sticking up. I tightened that down on that plate, and that'll take care of that. Now if you need, you could probably push this plate back 1 hole, go back to this hole if the holes line up. That should work for you. Why did I drill all these holes here then when we really only needed these 2 and maybe this row or this row? Well, it looks, I'm trying to make things look a little bit professional, and hopefully this will look that way. And so now what you can do, and I'm just going to do this so you can see the difference. If you remember before, the camera was out of level, it was hanging like this. So let's see what happens now when I let go of it. Well, now you can see it's even past center. It's going actually the other way, just a little bit. But you can see how much more. It was like this, and now it's like this, simply by pushing the camera back. And you want to have your camera level on your platform whenever you're using your jib crane, because especially if you're using the cable system, it makes it a lot easier to have your camera go up and down if it's balanced. So if you had that problem, hopefully you were able to make that, and that helped you out. As I said earlier, I filmed myself from start to finish building the jib crane. And if you're interested in those videos, it covers everything from start to finish. There's 8 videos, about 7 hours in length. And one disc covers the panning base with the brake and the yoke platform. 2 discs cover building the yoke. Another covers building the boom and the stubs. Another one is building the heavy-duty camera platform. Another one is building the A, or 90-degree platform. Another video is building the 245-degree camera platform. Another one is making the pulleys, the pulley arms, and the connecting rods. So if you're interested, please get in touch with me. You can check the description box down below that will give you the details. To keep costs down, you would just be getting a DVD that I write on with a magic marker in a paper sleeve. That's what you would be getting in the mail. And like I said, you can get one, you can get all of them. It's up to you. Interested in that? Please get in touch with me. And if you happen to decide to make your own jib crane, I hope you do, and maybe it'll turn out better than mine.